There are nights when you lie awake in the dark, your mind spinning with questions that have no answers. Where am I really going in this life? Why do I still feel empty, even when I seem to have everything? We live in a world that never stops shouting, a place where people chase money, fame, and love. Yet the faster they run, the further they drift from themselves. The Stoics understood this truth well. They knew that peace cannot be found in controlling the world or even in trying to control oneself. Tonight, you will begin a journey inward, not to escape, but to awaken. You will hear the words of ancient sages, men who endured wars, loss, and betrayal, yet kept the quiet flame of serenity alive within their hearts. This is not just a video. It is a mirror that reflects your own soul, teaching you how to stand firm amid life's storms. If you are ready to face yourself, then listen. Because peace does not come from the silence outside, but from the stillness you are about to discover within. There comes a moment in life when you pause amid the chaos of the world and realize that what truly exhausts you is not the weight you carry outside, but the tension you hold within. Every noise, every pressure, every fear doesn't really come from the world, but from a restless mind that refuses to rest. And that is where Stoic philosophy begins to speak, not as an ancient doctrine, but as a gentle whisper in the long night. Peace begins the moment you accept things as they are. The Stoics never taught us to escape emotions or deny reality. They showed us another path, the path back to inner stillness. As Marcus Aurelius wrote in Meditations, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." There is no place where one can find deeper peace than within one's own soul. We often forget that stillness is not the absence of noise, but the ability to remain unmoved in the midst of it. Like the sea, its surface may rage with waves, yet deep below, there is eternal calm. Stoic philosophy teaches us to reach that depth, where anxiety dissolves, where blind reactions fade, and the mind returns to its natural clarity. When modern life demands that we run faster, gain more, and prove ourselves louder, Stoicism invites us to stop. Not out of weakness, but because stopping is the most courageous act of someone who realizes they are moving in the wrong direction. Epictetus once reminded us, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." In that simple teaching lies the entire essence of peace. When you pause to observe your emotions, to witness how your mind reacts when you cease to be the one swept away and become the one who observes in that very moment, you begin your journey back to stillness. That path is not easy. It requires us to move against the current of the world, while others rush to seek meaning in money, fame, and recognition. The Stoic turns inward to seek meaning within. They understand that we cannot control the wind, but we can learn to steer the sail. We cannot make the world silent, but we can quiet the mind so it no longer trembles before the noise. Seneca once wrote in Letters from a Stoic, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." A profound truth. Most of our unease does not come from what is happening, but from what we think might happen. The modern mind is obsessed with prediction, analysis, and control, so much so that it forgets life only exists in the present moment. Stoicism does not come to destroy logic, but to balance it with awareness. When we recognize our limits, we begin to taste freedom. The stillness that Stoic philosophy points toward is not the silence of surrender, but the calm of understanding. The Stoic does not deny pain. They see it as an essential part of the journey. They do not flee from emotion. They name it, study it, and transform it. It is a quiet kind of strength, the strength of one who knows that all things are transient and therefore clings to nothing. A Stoic soul is not cold. On the contrary, it is deeply warm because it understands the fragility of human life and thus cherishes every breath, every moment, every person who passes through its path. From that awareness, peace is born. For peace does not come from safety, it comes from understanding. As Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. You have control over your own mind, not over what happens outside. Once you understand this, you discover real strength. When we grasp the boundary between what is within reach and what lies beyond it, something inside us relaxes. We stop trying to change the world and begin to change the way we see it. Stillness is no longer a distant ideal, but a natural state of the mind when it ceases to resist. In the modern world, where we are surrounded by news, social media, and the fear of being left behind, learning to return to oneself is a revolutionary act. When you turn off the outer noise and listen to the voice within, you realize that you have always been enough. It is not about adding more, but about shedding what does not belong to you. At its deepest essence, Stoic philosophy is a gentle yet powerful reminder. We do not need to change the world to be at peace. We only need to change how we perceive the world. Peace, therefore, is not a reward for the fortunate. It is the result of a mind that has come to understand that everything is as it should be. When the narrator invites you to take a deep breath, let go of your worries and prepare for an inner journey, it is not a ritual of meditation. It is an invitation to return to your true self. Each breath becomes a thread, guiding you from chaos to stillness. Each word from Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, or Seneca is a small flame lighting the path. And then, within that stillness, you realize peace is not at the end of the road. Peace is the road. There is no need to run, no need to grasp, only to stop, to breathe, and to see. As Epictetus once said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." The path back to stillness is the journey of becoming the master of your own mind, and that is where true peace begins. After stepping through the first door, the path back to stillness, the mind begins to soften. The noise of the world fades into the distance, and in that quiet space, a deeper question slowly rises. If peace is born from acceptance, can we truly accept everything, even the pain, the loss, and the moments when we fall? That is where Stoic philosophy leads us to one of its brightest jewels, amor fati, the love of fate. None of us can choose the circumstances of our birth, the losses we must endure, or the people who leave us along the way, but we can always choose how to receive them. The Stoic does not see fate as a sentence, but as a mirror reflecting the soul. Every event is a test meant to make the heart clearer and stronger. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher-emperor who carried the weight of Rome through war and plague, once wrote in Meditations, "A blazing fire makes flame and brightness out of everything that is thrown into it." That is the image of the Stoic soul. Instead of resenting fate, it turns every adversity into fuel for inner growth. Amor fati is not mere acceptance of fate. It is to love it, to embrace it, to dissolve into it with gratitude. To love one's fate, we must first look directly into its nature, impermanent, uncontrollable, and indifferent to our desires. Every plan we draw can be swept away by a single gust of wind. The Stoic understands this, and instead of despairing, they smile. Epictetus, once a slave who became a master of philosophy, said, "Don't seek for everything to happen as you wish it would, but rather wish that everything happens as it actually will. Then your life will flow well." If we choose to see life as a chain of injustices, we will find suffering everywhere. But if we choose to see it as a series of opportunities to grow, we will uncover grace hidden within every loss. Amor fati is precisely that, choosing the right handle, choosing to love the flow instead of struggling against it. And then, when you sit quietly in the night, listening to your own breath, you begin to realize every hardship that once broke you was quietly shaping you into someone stronger and more awake. Peace is not a prize at the end of the road, but a dwelling place within the turns of destiny itself. For as Marcus Aurelius once said, "Accept whatever comes to you, woven in the pattern of your destiny, for what could more aptly fit your needs?" That is the spirit of amor fati, not merely to endure life, but to love it in all its forms. When you embrace both the good and the bad, the loss and the fullness, fear no longer governs you. You become part of the sacred order, the natural rhythm, where everything unfolds just as it must. From this point onward, our journey is no longer a battle against fate. It becomes a dance with it. Every step, every breath, every pain becomes part of the rhythm through which the universe teaches us how to live more deeply, more truthfully, and more freely. And when you understand this, you smile at whatever life throws your way, because you have learned the highest art of Stoic philosophy, amor fati, the love of fate. Once we have learned to love fate, once we stop struggling against the current of destiny and can smile at what cannot be changed, another door of Stoic philosophy begins to open, the door that leads to true freedom. For there is something even harder to master than fate itself. And unless we understand this, all other philosophy becomes meaningless. Our emotions. Mastering emotion. Not letting the world rule the inner self, Epictetus once said in Enchiridion. Men are disturbed not by things, but by the views which they take of things. Human beings are not shaken by events themselves, but by the way they interpret them. This is not merely a philosophical statement, it is the foundation of inner freedom. For we cannot control the world, but we can control how we respond to it. Every wound, every anger, every anxiety or fear we feel does not come from others, but from the meanings we attach to their actions. The world cannot touch our soul unless we open the door and let it in. Modern people often believe they are strong when they can control others, when they can make someone understand, love, or respond. But to the Stoic, true strength is the ability to remain calm even when the world is in chaos. Marcus Aurelius wrote in Meditations, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This is the freedom that Stoicism speaks of, not political freedom, but liberation from emotional slavery. A man may be bound in chains, as Epictetus once was, yet if he governs his own mind, no one can imprison him. Look back at your life. How many times have you let a careless word hurt you for days? How many times have you allowed a stranger, a negative comment, or a small gesture to wound your mind? The Stoic would say, "It is not they who hurt you, it is you who allowed it to happen." Epictetus emphasized, "If someone succeeds in provoking you, realize that your mind is complicit in the provocation." That statement pierces directly through the ego, painful yet true. We often forget that emotions do not come from the outside. They are created and sustained within us. And if we are the ones who create them, we are also the only ones who can transform them. The Stoic does not deny emotion. They do not turn into stone, nor do they live without feeling. On the contrary, they understand that emotions rise and fall like waves, yet they do not allow those waves to carry them away. As Seneca once wrote in Letters from a Stoic, "He who is brave is free. The one who is courageous enough to face and master their emotions is the one who is truly free." When you learn to master your reactions, the world suddenly feels lighter. No one has the power to disturb your peace anymore. No word can wound you unless you consent to it. And when you stop reacting blindly, you begin to choose calm over anger, understanding over judgment, compassion over resentment. True freedom is not the ability to do whatever you want, but the strength to remain untouched by emotion. When others shout, you stay silent. When everything falls apart, you still see the path clearly. When betrayed, you still choose dignity. That is the highest form of freedom, one that no empire, no wealth, and no power can buy. And when you reach that state, you understand what Epictetus meant. No man is free who is not master of himself. No one is truly free until he has mastery over himself. Thus, mastering emotion is not a cold discipline. It is the art of awakened living. It is the ability to see every event with clarity and to respond with a mind refined by wisdom. By the end of this reflection, one truth becomes clear. Amor fati teaches us to love fate, while mastering emotion teaches us to love ourselves so deeply that we refuse to let anger, fear, or pain define who we are. And only when these two come together do we touch the essence of inner freedom, a state where nothing and no one can hurt us unless we allow it. That is the beginning of an invisible strength, the strength of calm amid storms, of a smile in adversity, of a soul that has learned the most precious lesson Stoic philosophy has to offer. No one can hurt you unless you allow it. When we truly understand that no one can harm us without our consent, that emotions are not external tempests, but winds we ourselves stir within, the Stoic invites us to face another profound truth: the limits of human power. We can master the mind, but we cannot master the universe. We can choose our response, but we cannot choose the outcome. And within this simple yet profound realization, Stoic philosophy uncovers another jewel of wisdom: the art of letting go of releasing control. Letting go of control. The difference between what is within our reach and what is not. Epictetus began his Enchiridion with a truth so brief, yet so complete, that he spent his life embodying it. Some things are up to us, and some are not up to us. Some things lie within our control, and some simply do not. It seems simple, yet this distinction is the very root of peace. Most human suffering arises from refusing to accept the boundary between the two. People try to control what cannot be controlled and neglect what can. They waste their energy fighting meaningless battles against the weather, fate, other people, the past, or things already decided. The Stoic sees this and chooses the opposite path: to invest energy only in what lies within reach. In Discourses, Epictetus expands on this. Make the best use of what is in your power, and take the rest as it happens. This is not the counsel of resignation, but the wisdom of someone who understands their place in the natural order. When we stop trying to control what is beyond our grasp, our mind is freed to focus on the only thing we truly can change: ourselves. In the modern world, we seem to have lost the ability to distinguish between what is within and what is beyond our control. We wake up to hundreds of messages, news, opinions, and comparisons, and we believe we must control them all. Our image, others' perceptions, unexpected events, and social approval. But the more we try to control, the more we become controlled by the very fear of losing control. Marcus Aurelius, an emperor at war, understood this truth better than anyone. In Meditations, he wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. You have control over your own mind, not over what happens outside. Once you realize this, you discover real strength. That is the art of discernment, the art of focusing only on what deserves attention and releasing the rest. Letting go of control does not mean indifference or passivity. On the contrary, it demands deep discipline and intelligence. It takes great awareness to know what belongs to you and what does not. It takes great strength to accept that some things cannot be changed and still remain at peace with them. Seneca wrote On the tranquility of the mind, "No man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity, for he is not permitted to prove himself." When we let go of control, we do not avoid adversity. We simply stop demanding that it bend to our will. We accept that storms will come, but we can learn to steer our boat more skillfully. We accept that others may change, but not necessarily in the way we expect. And in that acceptance, we become free amid all change. One of the greatest sources of human suffering is the attempt to hold on to what was never ours, another's loyalty, society's approval, or even the outcome of our own efforts. The Stoic understands that results lie beyond our reach. Only effort lies within our hands. Epictetus taught, "When you are offended at any man's fault, turn to yourself and study your own failings. Then you will forget your anger." This is a profoundly practical way of letting go, to stop trying to fix others and begin refining ourselves. To stop asking, "Why are they like that?" and instead ask, "What can I learn from this?" In the deeper layers of Stoic philosophy, letting go of control is not merely an action, it is a state of being. It is like loosening your hand after trying to clutch a handful of sand. When you grip tightly, the sand slips through your fingers. When you release, it rests peacefully in your palm. That release does not make you lose anything. It makes you lighter and wiser. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Accept the things to which fate binds you, and love the people with whom fate brings you together, but do so with all your heart." When we understand the boundary between what is within reach and what is beyond it, we stop wasting energy on useless battles. We no longer torment ourselves over the past or worry about the future. Instead, we live fully in the present, the only place where our choices truly exist. In the stillness of the mind, the Stoic realizes that everything in the universe moves according to its own order. Humanity does not need to fix the world, for the world was never broken. Only our perceptions sometimes drifts away from the natural order. When we learn the art of letting go, we also learn the art of living according to nature, as the Stoics often emphasized. Within that order, everything has a purpose: joy and sorrow, victory and defeat, loss and gain. Nothing is excessive, nothing is random. Thus, letting go of control does not make us weak. On the contrary, It makes us strong in a way the world rarely understands. We no longer sway with what lies beyond our reach. We are no longer dragged into others' storms. We choose only what is worth our care, the things we can nurture, improve, and grow. And it is in that act of discernment that true strength is born. The strength of one who focuses instead of scattering. The strength of one who endures instead of resisting. The strength of one who can still smile when the world no longer goes their way. In the end, the Stoic lesson is simple, yet steeped in wisdom. It is not the one who controls the most who is strongest, but the one who knows when to let go. For only when we recognize our limits do we become truly free. Only when we stop trying to master the world do we begin to master ourselves. And in that release, there is no loss, only return. A return to a mind that is clear, peaceful, and self-possessed. As Epictetus reminded us, freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. Freedom is the only goal worthy of life, and it is attained the moment we stop concerning ourselves with what lies beyond our reach. That is the strength of discernment, to hold on to what matters and to let go of the rest. In letting go, we find peace, wisdom, and freedom. When we have learned to let go of control, when we realize that happiness does not come from mastering the world, but from choosing what is truly worth our attention, a deeper lesson begins to emerge. It is that moment when we no longer try to change what cannot be changed, yet we are not fully at peace either. In that quiet space, we sense something still resisting within us, an invisible struggle against the present moment itself. And it is here that Stoic philosophy leads us to a higher level of freedom, the art of acceptance, the state of not resisting reality. The art of acceptance, not resisting reality. Seneca once wrote in Letters from a Stoic, "Fate leads the willing and drags along the unwilling. Fate leads those who are willing to go with it and drags those who resist." That brief statement contains one of life's deepest truths. Resistance is the root of all suffering. When we fight against the natural flow of things, we are not only exhausted by circumstances, but also by the inner battle we wage within ourselves. Marcus Aurelius also wrote in Meditations, "Accept whatever comes to you, woven in the pattern of your destiny, for what could more aptly fit your needs?" Accept whatever comes to you as part of the tapestry of destiny, for what could be more fitting to your nature than this? This is not a call to surrender, but an act of wisdom. Acceptance is not resignation. It is the ability to see. To see things as they are, no additions, no subtractions, no distortions shaped by our desires or fears. The Stoics believed there are two layers of suffering: the pain that comes from the event itself and the pain that comes from resisting that event. A rainfall is merely a natural occurrence. Yet the moment we say, "I hate the rain," we add another layer of suffering onto reality. When someone leaves us, it is simply the flow of life. But when we cling, resent, or dwell on it, we turn ourselves into victims of our own emotions. Epictetus emphasized in Enchiridion, "Do not seek to have events happen as you want them to, but instead want them to happen as they do happen, and your life will go well. Do not wish for things to happen as you desire. Wish for them to happen as they naturally do, and your life will flow peacefully." This is the essence of acceptance, an art higher than control, for it requires the courage to release the inner resistance that binds us. Reality is never wrong. Only our perception of it can be mistaken. We label events as bad, loss, or failure. Yet with time, we often realize that those very things open doors we once feared to approach. Marcus Aurelius reminded us, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. The obstacle to action becomes the action itself. What blocks the path is the path." Indeed, life is never wrong in sending us adversity. It is only we, blinded by their ego, who fail to see the gift hidden within it. The Stoic learns to view every event through a different lens, the lens of understanding rather than judgment. Acceptance is not convincing ourselves that everything is fine. It is facing reality directly, even when it hurts, and saying, "All right, I see you. I do not need you to disappear for me to be at peace." That is a form of absolute inner freedom when our happiness no longer depends on whether the world goes our way. Seneca called this state tranquillitas animi, the tranquility of the soul. In On the Happy Life, he wrote, "A wise man is content with his lot, whatever it may be, without wishing for what he has not. A wise person is content with whatever life grants him, without longing for what he lacks. It is the serenity of one who understands that everything arrives at the right time, and everything departs when it must. To resist reality is to fight what cannot be changed, and that is a battle we always lose. We lose because we fight the wind. We lose because we demand the river to stand still. And in our struggle to hold on, we miss the beauty of the present where life continues to unfold, whole and pure, untouched by our resistance. When we accept, pain may remain, but it no longer rules us. When we resist, pain doubles. When we consent, pain dissolves. Epictetus once said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. If you wish to grow, accept being seen as foolish." At first, it sounds simple, yet beneath it lies the courage to accept reality without demanding it to fit our ego. The practice of acceptance is not a single act. It is a lifelong journey. Every day offers countless chances to practice it. When someone says something that displeases us, when plans fall apart, when we reach the art of acceptance, learning to stop resisting reality and to see things as they are, we may think that peace has finally been achieved. Yet life soon presents a deeper challenge. Reality holds not only what is pleasant, it also contains loss, betrayal, collapse, and the kind of pain we never expected to face. And when that pain arrives, a question echoes within us. Can we accept even suffering itself? This is where Stoic philosophy descends into its deepest layer of awakening, where suffering becomes the teacher and adversity becomes the classroom of the soul. Suffering as the teacher, wisdom from adversity. Seneca wrote in On Providence, "Fire tests gold, suffering tests brave men. Fire tests gold, suffering tests the courageous." This is not a mere metaphor, it is a declaration of human nature. Pain does not come to destroy us, but to refine us. The Stoic understands that no one grows in comfort. It is only through trials that we discover the hidden strength within a strength that peace alone could never awaken. In another letter, Letters from a Stoic, Seneca wrote, "Difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body." Life, for the Stoic, is a constant training ground. Every hardship is a lesson crafted specifically for the soul, not to punish, but to forge willpower, open understanding, and cleanse illusion. Therefore, they do not fear suffering. They see it as an essential part of becoming whole. Just as steel cannot harden without fire, the soul cannot shine without being burned by loss. Seneca added in, "On anger. A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials. A gem cannot shine without friction, and a human being cannot be perfected without trials." Within this truth lies the essence of Stoicism. All suffering has purpose. The world is not cruel by accident. It is disciplined, like a demanding teacher. Every failure, every heartbreak, every moment when we think we have lost everything is simply another lesson in the universe's great school. A lesson meant to shape us into beings of greater clarity and freedom. Marcus Aurelius, who lost a child, lost friends, and carried an empire through war, could still write in Meditations, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. The obstacle to action becomes the action itself. What blocks the path is the path." It was no coincidence that he wrote these words during years of grief and hardship. They were the realization of a soul that had learned, no road to wisdom does not pass through suffering. Each time life closes a door, the Stoic does not ask, "Why me?" but instead, "What is the lesson here?" That simple change of question transforms a person from a victim to a student. Epictetus, once a slave, went even further when he said in discourses, "It is difficulties that show what men are." Hardship reveals who we truly are. He knew this not as theory, but through experience. Bound, beaten, and humiliated, he chose not to hate, but to observe. Through loss, he discovered what could never be taken from him, the freedom of the mind. And so Epictetus declared, "No man is free who is not master of himself. No one is truly free until they have mastered themselves. And mastery is born only in those who have learned to walk through pain without resentment." People often try to escape pain at any cost. Yet in doing so, they lose the opportunity to understand themselves. For it is only through pain that we learn what truly matters. Only through loss that we recognize what we once had. And only through falling that we learn how to rise on our own strength. Seneca advised, "He suffers more than necessary who suffers before it is necessary." Letters from a Stoic. He who suffers before it is needed suffers more than he must. In the eyes of the Stoic, suffering is not something to avoid. It is something to learn to pass through rightly. We cannot choose whether to suffer, but we can always choose how we endure it. Think back to the moments when you overcame hardship. At the time, no philosophy seemed to help. Only tears, helplessness, and emptiness filled your days. Yet as time passed, you looked back and realized that very moment was what made you grow. That wound taught you how to love, how to be patient, how to listen. And if you were given the chance to relive your life, you might not wish for that pain, but neither would you wish to erase it. That is the essence of Stoic wisdom, to transform suffering into the raw material of awakening. Marcus Aurelius once reminded himself, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment. If you suffer because of something outside yourself, the pain does not come from the event, but from your judgment of it, and that you can change at any time. Suffering has no fixed shape. It shifts according to how we see it. One person views adversity as punishment, another sees it as a lesson. The first collapses, the second grows stronger, and in that choice, the soul is forged. In Stoic philosophy, suffering is not the enemy. It is the teacher, harsh but just. This teacher does not instruct through words, but through loss. not through philosophy, but through trials. It is the teacher who makes us cry, who draws out our anger, yet it is also the one who leads us to wisdom. Seneca wrote, "No man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity, for he is not permitted to prove himself. No one is more unfortunate than the one who never faces hardship, for he is denied the chance to know his own strength. If your life had been only ease, you might never discover how strong you truly are. If you had never been betrayed, you would not understand the worth of loyalty. If you had never lost, you would never learn the art of letting go." The Stoic does not pray for life to be easier. They only pray for the strength to face it. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Do not pray for an easy life. Pray to be stronger men. Do not ask for ease, ask for strength." And when we face suffering with that spirit, it ceases to be a burden and becomes a guide. Pain teaches humility, loss teaches gratitude, failure teaches courage. And through them all, the soul is tempered like steel forged in fire. In the end, Seneca's words still echo through the centuries. Fire tests gold. Suffering tests brave men. For fire does not destroy gold. It burns away the impurities so that the gold may shine brighter. Likewise, suffering does not destroy the soul. It burns away its weaknesses, revealing its purest essence. That is the hidden gift of adversity, a gift wrapped in fire, opened through tears, yet containing the light of wisdom within. When we understand this, we no longer fear suffering. We bow before it, not out of weakness, but out of reverence. Because we know each wound is a lesson, each loss is a form of training, each hardship is a teacher, and only by passing through the fire does the human soul become indestructible. After walking through suffering as a teacher, we awaken to a deeper truth. Pain does not destroy the soul, it refines it. But what prevents us, after enduring pain, from turning bitter? What allows us not merely to survive adversity, but to live rightly, beautifully, and meaningfully? According to the Stoics, the answer is virtue. If suffering is the fire that shapes the soul, then virtue is the final form of the soul. Once purified, the summit of the inner journey, the only true foundation of lasting happiness. Virtue, the source of true happiness. The Stoics did not define happiness as most of humanity does. For them, happiness is not pleasure, not success, not being loved, understood, or praised. All these things, however beautiful, depend on external circumstances, and whatever depends on externals will inevitably change. Marcus Aurelius wrote in Meditations, "Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking. Very little is required for a happy life. It is all within you, within the way you think. And at the foundation of that way of thinking lies virtue." Epictetus, once a slave, said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. If you wish to grow, be willing to be seen as foolish." He understood that living virtuously often means walking against the current of the world. For the world glorifies success, but Stoicism honors integrity. The world praises status, but the Stoic reveres wisdom and self-control. Virtue, therefore, is not merely moral goodness. It is the art of living in harmony with nature, in accordance with reason, and aligned with the universal order of the Logos. Seneca affirmed this in Letters from a Stoic. Virtue is nothing else than right reason. Virtue is nothing other than right reason, the alignment of thought, will, and action with truth itself. For the Stoic, reason is not a weapon for argument. It is the light that guides the soul. When reason leads, a person lives in harmony with nature, and that harmony is true happiness. Not because life becomes easier, but because one has aligned with their deepest nature, the part within that is clear, calm, and just. Stoic philosophy divides virtue into 4 pillars, the 4 foundations of a steadfast soul. Wisdom. Wisdom is the ability to discern what lies within our control and what does not, what is right and what is misguided. Epictetus taught, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. It is not what happens that defines you, but how you respond." Wisdom allows us to pause before reacting to see the essence rather than the illusion. The wise person is not ruled by fleeting emotions, nor seduced by wealth or praise. They understand what truly holds value, the quality of one's inner character, not outward appearance. Courage. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the decision to do what is right despite fear. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Courage belongs to those who dare to face truth, take responsibility, and live by principle even when it isolates them. In an age where comfort is worshipped, the courageous choose what is right, even when it costs them. Justice. Justice is the ability to place the good of the whole above one's own self-interest. Marcus Aurelius called justice the virtue of the social soul. In Meditations, he wrote, "What is not good for the hive is not good for the bee. What harms the hive harms the bee." The Stoics believed that no one lives in isolation. We are all parts of a greater whole. Every action we take ripples outward and affects others. To live justly, therefore, is to live for the common good, not for the ego. Justice is the virtue of the leader, the parent, the citizen of anyone who wishes to leave the world better than they found it. Temperance. Temperance is the balance of the ability to know what is enough, when to stop, and how not to let desire overpower reason. Seneca wrote, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor. It is not poverty that makes one poor, but greed." The temperate person is not ruled by ambition or pleasure. They understand that all material things are temporary, and the more one clings, the less freedom one has. Moderation brings lightness and a calm mind in a world overflowing with temptation. When these 4 virtues, wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance, exist in harmony within a person, the soul becomes balanced. With wisdom, we see clearly. With courage, we act rightly. With justice, we live for something greater than ourselves. With temperance, we remain steady amid change. At that point, happiness is no longer something to chase. It becomes the natural state of a soul aligned with virtue. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself. No one is free until they have mastery over themselves." Virtue, then, is the highest form of self-mastery. The virtuous person is not swayed by desire, not enslaved by praise or blame, not shaken by success or failure. They live freely because they are guided by one compass alone: integrity. Seneca concluded in Letters from a Stoic, "Virtue alone is happiness. The only virtue is happiness." The modern world teaches us that happiness comes from having more wealth, more recognition, more comfort. But the Stoic whispers a quieter truth. Happiness comes when we need less. They do not urge us to abandon the world, but to live within it without becoming its captive. To live with virtue is to live in harmony between word and action, reason and emotion, self and universe. A life may be long or short, fortunate or harsh, yet if it is lived with virtue, it is complete. The Stoic does not ask, "What has life given me?" They ask, "What have I given to life?" And if the answer is wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance, then whether rich or poor, victorious or defeated, one remains truly happy. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." Do not waste time debating what it means to be good. Simply be good. Happiness is not an outcome. It is a way of living. To live by virtue is to reach the summit of freedom, peace, and the eternal joy that Stoic philosophy has illuminated for over 2,000 years. Happiness, living in accordance with virtue. It is the simplest equation, yet the deepest truth a human being can ever realize. And when we finally understand that virtue is the source of happiness, we uncover a subtler lesson. Living virtuously is not only about acting rightly, it is also about knowing when to stop. A soul devoted to virtue must also know contentment, for otherwise it falls back into humanity's oldest trap, endless desire. And thus begins the next chapter of the Stoic path, the art of freeing oneself from desire, learning to live with less, but feel more, until we realize to have less is, in truth, to have more. Freedom from desire. When less becomes more, Seneca once wrote in Letters from a Stoic. It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor. It is not the one who has little who is poor, but the one who desires more. That simple sentence contains one of life's greatest paradoxes. Humanity has long believed that happiness comes from adding money, power, love, and recognition. Yet it is this endless pursuit of more that quietly takes away everything that matters: peace, self-control, and the ability to find joy in small, ordinary things. The Stoic does not fight desire, they decode it. They understand that desire is never satisfied by possession, only quieted by understanding. The moment we see desire for what it truly is, it loses its power over us. Marcus Aurelius wrote in Meditations, "Very little is needed for a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking." That is not a call to asceticism, but a reminder that the mind itself is the source of abundance. When the mind is restless, nothing is enough. When it is calm, everything is sufficient. The Stoics believed that inner freedom can only exist when we loosen our dependence on external things. Every time we crave something, we place ourselves in the position of the needy. Epictetus said in Discourses, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." True wealth lies not in what we own, but in what we no longer need. This is the spirit of liberation. A person may possess the whole world and still live in fear of loss. Yet another, who simply has enough to eat each day and cherishes each drop of water and each breath of air, lives in peace greater than that of kings. The Stoic does not seek poverty. They seek simplicity, the kind that gives the mind room to breathe and to see what truly matters. They know that in excess, wisdom struggles to grow. Only in restraint does one learn to taste life deeply. Seneca warned in On the Happy Life, "No man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity, for he is not permitted to prove himself." The greatest adversity, however, does not always come from the world. It comes from within, from the endless hunger of desire. One who cannot master their desires can never call themselves free. The Stoic understands that freedom does not come when we have everything. It comes when we no longer need everything. Marcus Aurelius once reflected, "If you seek tranquility, do less, or, more accurately, do what's essential. If you seek peace, do less or more. Precisely, do only what is essential. This is not merely a philosophy, it is a way of life. In an age of constant noise, doing less is a revolutionary act. In a world that urges us to have more, be more, and chase more, the Stoic chooses to let go, not out of weakness, but from wisdom. For only with empty hands can we truly grasp freedom. Desire has a strange nature. It always promises happiness, yet it plants restlessness instead. When we gain something, we instantly fear losing it. When we lack it, we suffer from craving. As Seneca wrote, the greatest obstacle to living is expectancy, which hangs upon tomorrow and loses today. The greatest obstacle to life is expectation. It hangs our soul on tomorrow and steals today. The more we desire, the further we drift from the present. The more we try to control everything, the further we move from the only thing that truly exists in this moment. That is why the Stoics practiced moderation as a spiritual ritual. They ate simply to keep the body light. They spoke little to keep their minds still. They owned little, so their thoughts would remain free. And within this less, they discovered another form of wealth, the wealth of needing nothing more. Epictetus said, "He is a wise man who does not grieve for the things which he has not, but rejoices for those which he has. The wise man does not mourn what he lacks, but rejoices in what he possesses." That statement is a compass for a simple yet profound life. Instead of chasing what is missing, return to what is already here. Then gratitude becomes an inexhaustible source of joy, something no one can take away. To the Stoic, desire is the root of bondage. When we want, we depend. When we fear losing, we become enslaved. And when we are enslaved, we lose the one thing Stoicism holds as the highest value, freedom. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself each morning, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a privilege it is to be alive, to think, to enjoy, to love. When you wake up, remember what a privilege it is to live, to think, to enjoy, to love. You need very little. The moment you realize you already have enough, you become richer than those who live only to possess." The modern world teaches us that our worth lies in what we have. The Stoic reverses this. Our worth lies in what we can let go of. A mind full of desire is like an overflowing cup. There is no room left for stillness. But when we pour some out, we create space for clarity to enter. Epictetus called this state ataraxia, the tranquility of a mind unshaken. And only when the mind is freed from desire does a person become truly free. In the end, the Stoic lesson remains simple yet powerful. He who is contented with little possesses much. The one who is content with little possesses everything. For happiness is not having all things, but needing none. Wealth is not abundance, but inner sufficiency. And freedom is not the ability to want. It is the liberation from needing to want. The Stoic lives with less, but lives more deeply. They do not chase outer light, for they have found an inner flame, one that burns quietly through simplicity, moderation, and gratitude. It is that inner light born from living with less, and knowing what is enough that creates the most enduring form of happiness a human being can ever touch. When we have learned to free ourselves from desire, when the mind is no longer bound by endless craving, a new space opens within us. Still, clear, vast, like a lake untouched by wind. And then a natural question arises. If I no longer chase anything, where should I live? The Stoics answered simply yet profoundly, live in the present. For only here, in this very moment, does life truly happen. The past is sealed, the future has not arrived, and only this instant is real. Living in the present. This moment is all there is. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher-emperor who lived amidst war, loss, and immense responsibility, wrote in Meditations, "Confine yourself to the present. Limit yourself to the present." It was not a passing suggestion, but a philosophy he practiced daily. Even as he made decisions that shaped an empire, he reminded himself, only this moment is real. For every worry, fear, and regret is born the instant the mind wanders beyond the present. Seneca echoed this truth in letters from a Stoic. True happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future. True happiness is to live fully in the now without the anxious need for what may come. That may sound simple, yet it is the very key to peace. Humans live as if they are always on their way to somewhere else, waiting for later to finally begin living, to finally be happy. But later never arrives. We only ever have now. Epictetus warned in Discourses, "Man is not worried by real problems so much as by his imagined anxieties about real problems." Human beings are not troubled by the problems themselves, but by the stories they imagine about them. The future is the land of imagination, where fear is planted. The past is the land of memory, where regret grows. Only the present is fertile ground for awareness, and from awareness, peace is harvested. To the Stoic, living in the present is not a romantic notion. It is an act of reason. Only when we are fully present can we think clearly, choose wisely, and act justly. When the mind is split between what has been and what might be, we lose ourselves. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Do every act of your life as though it were the very last act of your life." He did not say this to inspire fear of death, but to awaken consciousness. For when you realize that each moment could be your last, you finally begin to live, to feel deeply, and to stop wasting life on what is trivial. Living in the present is the art of stopping. Stopping to hear your own breath. Stopping to notice the light falling across the wall. Stopping to see that even within the storm, there is a center of calm that nothing can touch. Seneca once said, "Life is long if you know how to use it. Life is long if you truly live it." Yet most people do not live. They only wait. They wait to be richer, to be understood, to have things settle down. And while waiting, they miss life itself unfolding in every breath. For the Stoic, living in the present is not about escaping responsibility or forgetting the past. They still plan, reflect, and act, but without attachment. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Don't let your reflection on the whole sweep of life crush you. Don't fill your mind with all the bad things that might happen. Do not let thoughts of your entire life weigh you down, nor fill your mind with fears of what may come." The Stoics focus on the single step before them, knowing that every long road is walked one small step at a time. When we give our full attention to this moment, everything else becomes lighter, clearer, and infinitely more alive. In Enchiridion, Epictetus reminded, "Remember that the past and future have no power over you, only the present. The past and the future hold no power, only the present moment does." That realization is the greatest liberation a human being can reach. For countless people remain bound by the invisible chains of time, some imprisoned by regret over the past, others paralyzed by fear of the future. But the past is dead, and the future is only an illusion. The present is the only doorway through which life truly enters. When we live in the present, fear dissolves because fear lives only in the future, in the shadow of what might happen. When we pause fully in this moment, the mind returns to its purest state of being, without resistance, without prediction, only awareness. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The present moment is sufficient for you, always." Indeed, the present is always enough. If we live wholly within each second, we realize we need nothing more, no waiting for happiness, no demand to fix life. For in this very instant, when the mind awakens, we touch a happiness purer than any worldly pleasure, the quiet radiance of presence itself. The Stoic does not meditate to escape life. They meditate to see it clearly. They understand that only when we are fully present can we truly see others, see ourselves, and see the world as it is. They neither rush toward the future nor cling to the past, for they know both exist only in the mind's imagination. Epictetus said, "Don't seek to have events happen as you wish, but wish them to happen as they do happen." Do not wish things to unfold as you want. Wish instead for them to unfold as they do. That is the teaching of presence, the wisdom of flowing with reality, where everything is allowed to be what it is, and we are allowed to be who we are. Living in the present is a homecoming, a return from the past of regret, a return from the future of anxiety, a return to the only place where we can breathe, love, and truly feel this moment. Seneca wrote, "While we are postponing, life speeds by. While we delay, life rushes past." So the Stoic does not wait for miracles they see every day, every hour, every moment as a miracle already happening. When you drink a glass of water, when you see light fall across the face of someone you love, when you listen to the rain, these are not trivial things. They are life itself, pure, complete, and sacred in their simplicity. The final lesson of Stoic philosophy does not lie in lofty theories, but in the simple capacity to be fully present in each passing moment. Seek no peace in tomorrow. Regret no peace from yesterday. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." And the purest, deepest, and freest thoughts are those born in the present moment. So pause for a while. Breathe deeply. Feel. Not tomorrow, not when everything is perfect, but now. You are alive. And in this single moment of true presence, you already have everything you need for peace. When we learn to live in the present, the mind becomes light, like a still lake that no longer reflects the illusions of the past and future. But then, life inevitably places us back into the storm, into days of noise, conflict, loss, injustice, and trials that test the limits of endurance. It is there that the next Stoic lesson arises: how to keep the mind calm amid chaos. For peace, as the Stoics believed, is not the reward after the storm. It is the strength that allows us to stand through it. Keeping calm. Amid chaos, peace as the highest strength. Marcus Aurelius wrote in Meditations, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. You have power over your mind, not over what happens outside you. Understand this, and you will find true strength." That single sentence captures the entire spirit of Stoicism. The Stoic does not seek to control the world, for the world is in constant flux. They focus instead on the inner realm, the only place where true power resides. Amid chaos, the Stoic does not fight the circumstance. They adjust their response to it. Seneca wrote in Letters from a Stoic, "If you are calm, even misfortune cannot disturb you. If you remain calm, even misfortune loses its power to shake you. In Stoic philosophy, calmness is not passivity or coldness. It is an active form of intelligence, the ability to keep one's mind from being stolen by anger, fear, or anxiety. For once, emotion takes command, reason withdraws. And when reason withdraws, a person loses themselves. The Stoic understands that the mind is the final fortress of freedom. When everything external collapses, the one who keeps clarity still stands. Epictetus taught, "When something happens, the only thing in your power is your attitude toward it. When events occur, your attitude toward them is the only thing you truly control." That is why the Stoic does not react impulsively. They observe before they act. In the storm, others thrash as they breathe. When insulted, others retaliate. They stay silent. Not because they are weak, but because they know that reaction is a choice, not an instinct. For the Stoic, peace is the highest form of strength. Strength is not loudness, not aggression, not the fist. It is the mastery of oneself when the world has lost its order. Seneca wrote, "No man is free who is a slave to his passions. No one is free who serves their emotions." The Stoic does not deny emotion. They simply refuse to let it steer. To stay calm does not mean to extinguish fear or pain, but to sit beside them without letting them rule. Marcus Aurelius once wrote on a night as the Roman Empire stood surrounded by war and plague, "Be like the rock that the waves keep crashing over. It stands unmoved, and the raging of the sea falls still around it. Be like the rock in the sea. The waves crash, yet it stands unmoved, and in time the storm itself grows quiet around it." That is the image of the Stoic in life, stillness amidst motion. Not because they are cold, but because they understand that every storm is temporary. When we stop reacting blindly and begin observing with wisdom, we become like that, rock steady, calm, and untouchable. To stay calm amid chaos is not withdrawal from life. On the contrary, it is the most courageous act of all. It is easy to be peaceful in solitude, but rare and heroic to remain centered in a noisy world. Calmness, therefore, is not passivity. It is a wise strategy for living. When others act in anger, the Stoic acts with clarity. The Stoic chooses to live fully, to face every upheaval, but not to be consumed by it. Epictetus said, "No great thing is created suddenly. Nothing great is born in haste and peace. The greatest of all comes only to those who patiently train their minds through each challenge." In truth, the world will always try to pull us away from stillness. A careless insult can spark anger. A small setback can throw the mind into turmoil. The Stoic knows this, and so they practice daily, training the mind to remain unshaken by the trivial, to rise above the noise, and to rest firmly in inner peace. Seneca advised, "Anger, if not restrained, is frequently more hurtful to us than the injury that provokes it. Uncontrolled anger harms us more than what caused it. When others react in fear, the Stoic responds with awareness, and from that awareness comes the quiet strength that defines Stoicism." Marcus Aurelius called this state equanimity, the balance of the mind. He wrote, "You should not give circumstances the power to rouse anger, for they don't care at all. Do not give events the power to make you angry. They are indifferent to you." It is a sober reminder. The world was never designed to please us. Life circumstances are like waves striking the shore, indifferent and constant. If we let them dictate our emotions, we surrender our freedom. The Stoic, therefore, chooses to keep the mind still, not out of fear of emotion, but out of reverence for reason. For them, peace is not the absence of noise, but the presence of inner strength that cannot be shaken. In our modern world, overloaded with information, noise, and endless motion, this lesson is more vital than ever. Each day, we are pulled into a storm of opinions, headlines, arguments, and expectations. Without inner stillness, we become part of that storm, reacting instead of reflecting, speaking instead of understanding, raging instead of acting. The Stoic does not try to silence the world. They simply refuse to let its noise enter within. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." There is no place of deeper peace than within one's own soul, the only refuge untouched by chaos. Keeping calm amid chaos is a lifelong journey. It demands discipline, awareness, and a love for clarity. No one is born peaceful, but anyone can become peaceful once they understand that peace is not weakness. It is the highest form of strength. Only the strong can remain still. Only the self-controlled can remain calm. Only the peaceful can walk through storms without being swept away. In Stoic philosophy, peace is not the destination. It is the path itself. Each day we face a choice: to react as the world provokes, or to remain steady as reason guides. And every time we choose calm over chaos, we grow stronger, freer, and closer to our truest, clearest nature. Marcus Aurelius wrote in Meditations, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment." If you suffer because of something external, it is not the thing itself that causes pain, but your judgment of it, and you have the power to change that judgment at any moment. That is the ultimate human power, the power to remain at peace. No one can take it from you unless you surrender it. And when you learn to stay calm amid chaos, you do not merely rise above the world, you rise above yourself. After mastering the art of calm amid chaos, one reaches a deeper level of inner freedom. Yet even within that peace, something quiet still gnaws at the soul: resentment. Not the sharp flare of anger, but the lingering ache of unhealed wounds. The words that cut deep, the betrayals that linger, the moments we cannot forget no matter how much we wish to. Here, Stoic philosophy introduces one of life's hardest and most liberating lessons: forgiveness and letting go. For if peace is the highest strength, then forgiveness is its purest expression. Forgiveness and letting go, learning to release the soul. Marcus Aurelius wrote in Meditations, "When someone does you wrong, consider that they act out of ignorance of good and evil. When someone harms you, remember they act from ignorance, not from wisdom." The Stoic understands that not everyone acts from clarity. Most people act from emotion, instinct, and fear. And once we see this truth, anger begins to dissolve. Anger often grows from illusion, the belief that they should have known better, or they shouldn't have done this to me. But when we recognize that they are merely led by their own unconsciousness, our resentment softens and gives way to understanding. Epictetus said in Discourses, "Remember that it is not he who reviles you or strikes you who insults you, but your opinion that these things are insulting. It is not the act itself that insults you, but your judgment that it is an insult." This teaching does not deny emotion. It reminds us that all emotional pain passes through the mind's filter. When we change the lens, the pain changes shape. When we choose forgiveness, we do not pretend that the wrong never happened. We simply refuse to let it imprison our hearts any longer. Seneca wrote On anger. How much better it is to heal than to seek revenge from injury. Vengeance wastes much time and exposes you to many more injuries than it heals. It is far better to heal than to seek revenge, for revenge wastes time and wounds the soul anew. The Stoic understands that anger is a chain. Each time we hold on to resentment, we bind ourselves to the very person who hurt us. They may have forgotten, moved on, or lived an entirely different life, yet we remain frozen in that same moment, held captive by our own bitterness. Forgiveness, then, is not a gift to others. It is a gift to ourselves. Marcus Aurelius wrote in Meditations, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy. The best revenge is to rise above, not to imitate." When we harbor resentment, we become like what we despise. When we forgive, we step out of that shadow. Forgiveness does not mean agreeing with the wrong. It means refusing to let the wrong define us. It is an act of freedom, a quiet declaration. I will not carry another's burden within my soul. The Stoics viewed forgiveness not as sentiment, but as an act of intellect and courage. To forgive is to master the impulse for revenge, to stay lucid when instinct demands retaliation, to keep the heart pure amid injury. Seneca warned, "Anger, if not restrained, is frequently more hurtful to us than the injury that provokes it." Unrestrained anger harms its host more than its cause. The message is plain. The lasting wound is self-inflicted. Forgiveness, therefore, is not granted because others deserve it, but because we deserve freedom. Epictetus, once a slave, understood this truth. No man is free who is not master of himself. Mastery means knowing when to release. Often it is not the past that burdens us, but our refusal to let it go. The Stoic does not seek to rewrite the past, only to redefine their relationship with it. Forgiveness, to them, is a high form of philanthropia, a love of humankind born from understanding, not emotion. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Whenever you are offended at someone's fault, turn to yourself and study your own failings. Then you will forget your anger." By turning inward, judgment softens. In seeing our own imperfections, resentment loses its grip. And that is the quiet triumph of forgiveness. The soul, once clenched, learns again to breathe. This is not self-blame, but a reminder of shared humanity. We all err, and if we wish to be forgiven, we must learn to forgive. Forgiveness is a form of humility, the recognition that every soul is struggling against its own ego. Seneca called this act an internal victory. No applause, no witness, yet it is the greatest triumph, the conquest of one's own anger. He wrote, "He conquers twice who conquers himself in victory." To win outwardly is one thing. To master oneself while winning is divine. Seneca said, "Anger, if not restrained, is frequently more hurtful to us than the injury that provokes it." Uncontrolled anger harms us more than the original wound. The message is sharp and enduring. It is we, not others, who carry the long-term cost of our fury. Forgiveness, then, is not about the worthiness of another. It is about reclaiming our own freedom. Epictetus, once a slave, understood the highest form of liberty. No man is free who is not master of himself. To master oneself is to know when to release, for sometimes the heaviest weight we bear is not the past itself, but our refusal to let it go. The Stoic does not seek to change the past, only their relationship with it. Forgiveness, in this view, is philanthropia, a rational love for humankind, born not from emotion, but from understanding. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Whenever you are offended at someone's fault, turn to yourself and study your own failings. Then you will forget your anger." It is not self-blame, but recognition of our shared imperfection. We all falter, and if we wish to be forgiven, we must also learn to forgive. Forgiveness becomes humility, the quiet acceptance that every soul is wrestling with its own flaws. Forgiveness needs no audience. It is a quiet dialogue between you and your soul. And only when the soul is released from resentment can it return to its natural state, calm, lucid, and free. Seneca called this act an internal victory. No one sees it, no one applauds it, yet it is the greatest triumph, the conquest of one's own anger. He wrote, "He conquers twice who conquers himself in victory." The one who masters himself in the moment of triumph wins twice. Forgiveness needs no audience. It is a quiet dialogue between you and your soul. And only when the soul is freed from resentment can it return to its natural state, calm, clear, and whole. In modern life, resentment has become an invisible burden most people carry. We resent those who left, those who misunderstood us, even the things that cannot be undone. Yet the more we hold on, the farther we drift from ourselves. The Stoics remind us, true strength is not in holding tight, but in the ability to let go. Epictetus said, "Let go of your attachment to the outcome, and you will be free." Freedom is not found in victory, but in no longer needing to win. When you no longer need others to change for you to be at peace, you have reached the maturity of the soul. Marcus Aurelius, in the closing pages of Meditations, wrote, "To do wrong is the same as to do yourself wrong. The wrongdoer wrongs himself, becoming unjust. To harm another is to wound oneself, for injustice corrupts the one who commits it." Understanding this, the heart softens. Those who hurt us are merely those who have not yet learned how to treat themselves kindly. Forgiveness does not erase justice. It ends the endless cycle of resentment. It frees us to live not in the shadow of the past, but in the clarity of the present. Seneca summarized it with precision. To forgive is the highest form of justice. Forgiveness is not weakness. It is the justice of the wise, the act of restoring order within the soul. Justice, in the Stoic sense, is not about repaying, but about understanding. To understand that others act according to the limits of their awareness. To understand that pain is temporary, but resentment prolonged will rob us of our freedom. This lesson brings us back to the heart of Stoic philosophy, inner peace. Forgiveness is not forgetting. It is choosing not to let the wound define the rest of your life. Letting go is not weakness. It is the courageous act of a soul that has matured. Marcus Aurelius concluded this truth with a single, enduring line. "The best way to avenge yourself is to not be like them. Let the resentment drift away. Let the past rest, and let your soul be light again. Not for anyone else, but because you deserve the freedom that comes from peace." After one has learned the art of forgiveness and release, when hatred finally melts away like ice beneath the sun, a strange stillness begins to spread through the soul. No more anger, no more struggle, no more need to prove or to win. Only a pure serenity, the very thing the Stoics sought all their lives, not to escape the world, but to stand firm within it. And here the journey closes. The final lesson, the ultimate purpose behind every reflection, every discipline, every trial. Peace is the ultimate victory. Marcus Aurelius wrote in Meditations, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul. There is no place more peaceful for a man than within his own soul. The Stoics walked through every trial of existence, loss, ambition, pain, desire, resentment, only to discover that all roads lead inward. For nothing external can grant peace if the inner world remains chaotic. No one can make us free until we free ourselves from our own minds. Seneca said in Letters from a Stoic, "He who is brave is free. The brave man is free." And freedom here does not mean the absence of constraint. It means the absence of enslavement to emotion. True courage is not conquering battlefields outside, but mastering the storms within. And when that victory comes, it does not roar. It falls silent. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "To be calm is the highest achievement of the self. To be calm is the highest form of accomplishment." The sentence seems simple, yet it marks the summit of a lifetime's training. For centuries, humanity has been caught in the same whirlwind, wanting more, fearing more, reacting faster, forgetting how to pause. The Stoics chose the opposite path. They slowed down. They stayed still. They refused to hurry. Not because they didn't care, but because they had already learned what truly matters. Epictetus wrote in Enchiridion, "There is only one way to happiness, and that is to cease worrying about things which are beyond the power of our will." There is only one path to happiness: to stop worrying about what lies beyond our control. Peace does not come from controlling the world, but from no longer needing to control it. It is the simplest yet hardest of lessons. For human nature always wants to grasp, to secure, to make certain. But the world, ruled by its own rhythm, never belongs to us. The Stoic does not resist the waves. He learns how to breathe with them. Seneca said, "He suffers more than necessary who suffers before it is necessary." We suffer more than we must when we suffer in advance. We live trapped between two illusions: fear of what has not yet come and regret for what has already gone, forgetting the only moment that truly exists: now. The Stoic finds peace not in perfect conditions, but in the ability to be fully present in any condition. For peace, to them, is not a prize at the end of the road. It is the road itself. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself amid war, "Accept whatever comes to you, woven in the pattern of your destiny, for what could more aptly fit your needs? Accept all that comes as part of your destiny, for nothing is more perfectly suited to your growth than what already is." That is the summit of wise surrender, amor fati, the love of fate. No resentment, no resistance, no demand for life to be different. Do what is yours to do, then smile at whatever follows. Peace, in its deepest meaning, is harmony between the self and the flow of the universe. For the Stoic, meditation is not an escape from life, but a return to oneself. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Men seek retreats for themselves in the country, by the sea, in the hills, but it is in your power to retreat into yourself whenever you choose. People search for refuge in forests, by the sea, upon the mountains, yet you can retreat within yourself at any moment." These words are an invitation. Return to your breath, to the silent space within a sanctuary no one can enter. It is the refuge of the Stoic soul, not a physical place, but a state of mind, where you no longer need the world to be calm for you to be at peace, because within you, peace already dwells. Seneca described that state as a mind free from fear and free from desire. He wrote, "A great mind becomes serene in the midst of troubles. A great mind remains calm even in adversity. When the mind reaches such stillness, it no longer depends on the weather of life, because the sun of peace no longer shines above, but within. In the modern world, this lesson grows ever more vital. We live surrounded by noise, the hum of machines, arguments, comparisons, the constant pressure to do more, be more. The Stoics remind us, peace does not come when we gain more, but when we need less. It is not found in defeating others, but in ceasing to fight ourselves. Marcus Aurelius wrote near the end of Meditations, "Everything harmonizes with me, which is harmonious to thee, O universe. Nothing for me is too early or too late. Everything that aligns with the universe aligns with me. Nothing arrives too soon or too late." That is the voice of an awakened soul, the one who has seen that everything unfolds exactly as it should. When we stop resisting life, we realize it was never our enemy. Every event, every loss, every joy, each is a note in the same symphony. Peace arises when we no longer need the music to change, but simply choose to listen. And when all philosophy has been spoken, when every word dissolves into silence, the Stoic returns to what is most simple, the breath. For within the breath, everything exists. In the inhale, life. In the exhale, release. And in the space between perfect stillness. Marcus Aurelius might well have sat beneath the flickering light of a candle, whispering a meditation to himself. When the world is noisy, return to stillness. When the mind is restless, return to breath, for there lies the refuge of the Stoic soul. Peace, in the end, is not the conclusion of the Stoic journey. It is the journey itself, a movement from the outer to the inner, from reaction to awareness, from fear to freedom. And when one reaches the end of that path, there is nowhere else to go, because arrival was never the goal. Presence was. As Seneca wrote, "Begin at once to live, and count each separate day as a separate life." Begin to live now, and treat each day as a complete life in itself. That is enough. The world need not be quiet, only you must be. For peace does not come from mastering the world, but from mastering the self. And in the moment you understand this, you have already won, not over others, but over the most silent battle of all, the battle within your own soul.